Shout out to Black Justice for tagging me in this story. Now, who I'm about to talk about, it should be two people up here, but they only have one person's mugshot up here, and that's this guy right here, whose name is Eric Wise. Him and another person by the name of Travis Phillips recently pretty much got charged with first degree robbery and are currently awaiting trial on hate crime charges as well, because they chased a black man driving a BMW for 10 miles before beating him to a bloody pulp and robbing him because of his race. Now, if you look at this guy right here, you can tell that there's something extra added with him. He's not, I don't know, but they classified him as Caucasian because they put him down as, they said, two white men, and he's one of the guys that they said was involved with the beating. But when you look at him, you can tell there's something there. But they said they chased this guy for 10 miles. Do y'all realize how long 10 miles actually is? Even if you're driving. They said they chased this man for 10 miles. And they said the black guy was driving a BMW. Why do I have the biggest feelings? Because he had a nice car and they didn't. Let's get into it. And this story came out on October 29th, 2020. Two white men from Washington State are awaiting trial on hate crime and first-degree robbery charges for reportedly chasing a black driver for 10 miles before brutally attacking him. Eric Dean Wise, age 33, and Travis Brian Phillips, age 34, of Auburn, Washington, chased a black driver through Federal Way before stealing his wallet and shoes and beating him severely while shouting racial slurs. The man was left on the side of the road in a pool of his own blood. The defendant's actions in this case are stomach-churning and heinous, prosecutors wrote. Phillips admitted to officers that he had beaten the man and bragged that he had done it because he was black. The men said the black victim rear-ended them on the road. So, you claim that he rear-ended you on the road, but the reason you beat him was because he's black. Not because he rear-ended you, but because he's black. So I'm guessing if a white person rear-ended you, it would have been okay, is what you're saying. Court files show that Federal Way police officers responded at about 12:40 a.m. on Monday, October 26th, to witness reports of two white men assaulting a black man. The sound of Phillips and Wise beating and yelling slurs at the victim was loud enough that an unrelated individual heard it from inside his home. The witness said he saw the victim get struck at least 15 times by the defendants before he was pulled from his vehicle and kicked in the head and body several times while laying on the ground. Court files say the attackers beat him to a bloody pulp, then both men fled, but both were arrested later that day. When officers arrived, they saw a silver sedan with rear end damage run a stop sign. Officers pulled over the driver, who later was identified as Phillips. Both men had blood on their hands, and officers asked if they were injured. The men said they weren't and admitted to beating a man who rear-ended their car. Phillips said the man was down the road by his BMW. The witness confirmed the man was lying outside of his BMW. Officers located the man, who was bleeding and whose eyes were swollen shut. He was transported to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle. The injuries suffered by the victims at the hand of these men during this hate crime were extreme and required hospitalization, court records say. When questioned about it, defendant Phillips proudly proclaimed he did these crimes because the victim was a black man. This was a brutal hate crime. So he basically has admitted that this was a crime out of hate. So there should be no question whether or not these two should get hate crime charges. Just file the charges and proceed. I beat his ass because he was and it says expletive. I'm assuming the word that he said was the N-word. Phillips said to police, according to the charging documents, he's an expletive, that black guy. I'm guessing that word was supposed to be F, that black guy, the Seattle Times reported. Both defendants, who have each a long criminal record, are being held at King County Correctional Facility in Seattle in lieu of a $500,000 bail. The men are scheduled to be arraigned on November 9th. Now, it's interesting that they only have this guy's picture up here, who is the one who they say it was two white men, even though I'm looking at this guy and I said, if he is white, he must be mixed or something. But they don't have the picture of the other guy who was doing all the talking, the other guy who was saying F that black guy and calling him what I assume to be an N-word, they don't have who I perceive to be maybe the ringleader behind this whole thing, and this guy just tagged along for the ride. Interestingly enough. But yeah, this is a hate crime through and through. The guy practically admitted that it was, but you know how it goes in the establishment. But like I said, they said they beat him because he was black, not because they got rear-ended by this guy. And like I said before, if the person who rear-ended them was white, would they still have beat him? 9 times out of 10, he probably would not have done that. But because he was black, that's the reason as to why. But you know what? Like I always say, I like the people who are racist to be overt, out in the open. That way we don't have to try to decipher and figure out if they or aren't they. Just let it rip. But y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments.